Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful, all praise and thanks belong to God, the Lord of the worlds. May peace, blessings, and prayers be upon all of God's prophets, from Adam to Noah to Abraham to Moses to Jesus to the Prophet Mohamad. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Brothers and sisters, assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you. This is Edward Ahmed Mitchell, the Deputy Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations, welcoming you to today's episode of CAIR on Air, the Muslim Action Hour. Thank you so much for joining us this Tuesday afternoon. Hope you are doing well and staying safe, and that your family is as well. I want to say a special thank you, as always, to our listeners on American Muslim 360. We greatly appreciate your attendance. If during the program you have any questions or thoughts you want to share, just put them in the comments on Facebook, and inshallah, we will try to get to them during the program. Today's program is titled Combating Injustice at Home and Abroad. We're going to be discussing two topics, inshallah. The first is an issue that we're confronting, and that is the involvement of American corporations in the genocide of Uyghur Muslims at the hands of the Chinese government. We all know that many corporations, American corporations, operate in China, benefit from China. We have so many products that are made in China. But what you may not know is that there are numerous American corporations doing business in the Xinjiang province where the genocide of Uyghur Muslims is happening. In fact, some corporations were caught benefiting from forced slave labor being carried out by Uyghur Muslims who have gone through the concentration camps there. So this is something that human rights groups, Uyghur rights groups, and others have been fighting, and CAIR has also been speaking up about this as well. I want to bring on now a special guest to discuss the latest issue we're confronting when it comes to American corporate connection to the genocide of Uyghur Muslims, and we're going to talk about that, inshallah. And then after we finish this segment discussing what's going on with the situation with Uyghur Muslims, we're going to bring on a friend of ours from American Muslims for Palestine to discuss what's happening in Silwan today, the horrific ethnic cleansing being perpetrated by the Israeli government against the Palestinian people in Silwan. So those will be our two topics: Uyghur Muslims and American corporations, and what the Biden administration can be doing that it's not doing about Silwan in Philistine. So first, let's bring on our special guest, Huzaifa Shahbaz, the Research and Advocacy Coordinator of CAIR National. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Huzaifa. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. Good. Thank you so much for joining us to share an update about this. So some community members may be aware of what's been happening. I just gave a little brief overview about the general issue with corporate involvement in the Xinjiang province where the genocide of Uyghur Muslims is happening. But I wanted you to tell us in particular about what's happening with one American corporation and its connection to the region. Tell us about what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. So Hilton Hotels is the corporation in hand here. And so for those who don't know, Hilton has a contract in China to build a Hampton hotel in the Xinjiang province on a site that was a formerly bulldozed and desecrated mosque. And simultaneously in those surrounding areas, you have an estimated 1 to 3 million Uyghur Muslims and other Turkic minorities who are being held in essentially concentration camps and experiencing genocide, as the State Department has confirmed. And so again, as Edward said, major human rights organizations have concluded that the Uyghurs are being subjected to gross human rights abuses, including forced cultural assimilation, forced sterilization, psychological torture, you name it. And so Hilton is at the American corporation in the center here of this extreme horrific attack.
So thank you for that summary. So this news broke a few weeks ago. The United Telegraph published an article as part of their investigative series that revealed, as you noted, that there are plans to build a huge commercial center right on the site where a mosque was demolished by the Chinese government. And this commercial center would include a Hampton hotel, and Hampton is part of the Hilton brand. And so Hilton is licensing this hotel, and it would be a Hampton branded hotel. So we have called for, and others have called for, Huzaifa, Hilton to cancel this project. Now, I know we are obviously in contact with Hilton behind the scenes. We don't yet want to discuss publicly what those conversations are looking like, but we are working on that. But in the meantime, Hilton has not said anything publicly, and they certainly have not announced they're canceling the project. So tell us, what is the demand on Hilton here that we're making and that Uyghur rights groups and human rights groups are making?
Absolutely. And, I think the ask here is very simple, right? Drop this project, cease all operations, right? Move your project somewhere else in China, not in the Xinjiang region. Move it to Beijing, move it to Shanghai. It's unacceptable that a civil rights organization has to take this to hand and educate the American corporations about a genocide that is making international news, right? And so failure to do so will indicate Hilton's complicity in the genocide, and they will forever have to live with the idea that they are profiting off of an area where millions are suffering from the most horrific human rights abuses imaginable. And so, if I was CEO of the company, it wouldn't take me weeks to take action on this item. I would immediately, do everything that's possible to cancel this project, no matter what the cost may be. And so it's alarming to know that it's taken this many it's been this many weeks and we haven't seen any action on Hilton's part.
Yeah. And what's interesting, Huzaifa, is you made a comment there. We are not demanding that Hilton cease all operations in all of China, right? I mean, honestly, in my opinion, that would be the right thing to do for any corporation, to stop doing business anywhere in China while its government is perpetrating a genocide. But at the same time, I have a little doubt that American corporations are going to be willing to take that step right now unless Congress makes them do it. So right now, all we're asking, is that you don't do business right in the site in the region where a genocide is occurring. We're not saying don't do business across the country in Beijing. We're just saying at the very least, don't build a hotel on the site of a demolished mosque in Uyghur territory, miles away from concentration camps. That is not a lot to ask, right? That's an easy ask. That's an easy, simple thing to do. And again, in my opinion, you shouldn't be doing business in China at all while its government is perpetrating this crime, just like no one should have done business in Rwanda during the genocide or Germany during the Holocaust or the years leading up to the Holocaust. In my opinion, you shouldn't be doing business in that country at all. But that's not what we're asking. We're just saying do the simple, easy thing. Don't do business in the Xinjiang province because your presence there validates the genocide, enables the genocide, contributes to the genocide. Now, Huzaifa, let me ask you this. So this is not a problem only with Hilton. We've seen other major brands, get exposed for connections to this area, and we know Congress has passed some legislation and considering other legislation to address this issue. One of them is the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which would do a lot of good things, but one of them is essentially try to make sure that American corporations are not benefiting from the forced labor of Uyghur Muslims. So Huzaifa, just talk to us a bit about the broader issue that we're confronting here, not just the Hilton issue, but the broader issue we're having with corporate involvement in this region.
Right, absolutely. I think, from a macro point of view, we're dealing with American corporations who very easily are conceding that they are complicit in this genocide. And so we need a full-on push on corporations to drop any projects that they have in this region and learn about the genocide that's taking place. I don't really buy the argument that many of these corporations don't know about what's going on because it's international news. But it's essential that a lot of these corporations learn what's going on. And it's not just with the Uyghur Muslims. There's international Islamophobia that's happening all over the world. And so, at CAIR, we're doing a few things right now. So, we're partnering with our, human rights groups and the Uyghur human rights groups, and we want to launch a national campaign, to call on Hilton to cancel this project. But we have an action alert for folks to sign up for, urging Hilton to cancel this project and cease all operations. So what I'll do is I'll ask the producer to drop the action alert in the comments and sign that and share with family and friends and your social media pages to put the pressure on, and not just the action alert, but you can contact the CEO on your own. It's a public email. You can contact them yourselves and really make your voice heard about this. Absolutely.
So we'll inshallah keep the community updated. Again, we are in contact with Hilton. We are hoping they'll do the right thing, but in the meantime, we have to prepare to, pursue this issue and raise awareness at the national and international level. If we let this go, then the next corporation does the same thing and worse, and the genocide continues without any pushback, and that cannot happen. Right now, you've already got so many governments around the world running scared because of China. You got corporations running scared. Well, we don't have to be scared, alhamdulillah. We're Americans, and we're living in this country with the right to free speech, and we have the right to demand that our corporations do better. And inshallah, that is what we are going to do. So thank you, Huzaifa, for joining us. Inshallah, we'll certainly be getting updates from you in the future, inshallah, and talk soon. Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Thank you. And so now we want to move to the next subject, also a very important issue that is perhaps even more directly connected to our country, because this is a human rights violation that our country is funding. We are not funding the Chinese government's genocide of Uyghur Muslims, obviously, but the subject we're about to discuss is happening with American political and financial support, which makes it something that we have to address. So let's bring on now our next guest, Brother Mohamad Habehh, who is a dear friend of ours, so American Muslims for Palestine. Let's bring him on if he is here. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Mohamad.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Edward. How are you doing today?
Good, alhamdulillah. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sorry, Brother Mohamad, that we always have to bring you on when something negative is happening, but mashallah, we have to rely on our experts to raise awareness and confront this injustice. So, Brother Mohamad, we've got a brief video we're going to play showing a bit of what's happening in Silwan, what happened today. But I want you to first give us a summary of what's happening, then we'll put the video to it. What is happening in Silwan in Philistine today?
Of course. So just as we've been seeing around Palestine, and most recently in Sheikh Jarrah, which brought some of the most recent protests to light, Israel is continuing their land theft and their ethnic cleansing of Palestine. And we're seeing now in the small neighborhood of Silwan, which is home to about 33,000 people. It is a neighborhood in Jerusalem, just outside of the walls of the old city. We see that in Silwan, over 1,500 people are facing homelessness, who their homes are going to be taken from them and destroyed. And we saw today, after these threats of expulsion and these orders to destroy homes, we saw today the first business being destroyed, a business in Silwan where they came with an overwhelming force and basically destroyed this business and kicked out the Palestinian residents in that neighborhood. I know the video will cover more, and we'll talk more after that, inshallah, as well.
Sure. Let's play the video. It's brief, just to give a taste of what is happening today in Silwan, inshallah, and then we'll come back and discuss more in detail. And again, this is. Go ahead.
هيا شايفين يا عالم، هيا ما شهرين مسويه، كلفت 300,000 شيكل كلفت، والله العظيم لساتها البضاعة فيها لسه.
So, Mohamad, we can see there the literal destruction of a business, and we see the owner there discussing, what he lost, and then we see the attacks, tear gas attacking reporters. We see the attacking of men outside of their home, and so we've been seeing this over and over again, even since the ceasefire. This violence, and even since Israel had a change in leadership, this violence being perpetrated. It's not getting as much attention. Has the Biden administration, to your knowledge, said anything about this today, about what's happening in Silwan?
So there has been discussion about what's been going on in Silwan. To my knowledge, there hasn't been anything said today, but the issue of Silwan has been going on for years. And just as we discussed Sheikh Jarrah a couple months ago, in the congressional letters that went to the State Department, led by Congresswoman Marie Newman, it talked both about Sheikh Jarrah and Silwan. So these are issues that our elected officials already know about. And the State Department has discussed it in the past, but I'm not sure if it's said anything today. But that's our job, to make sure that our elected officials are discussing this. Alhamdulillah, we're having great successes in Congress, but we need to make sure that our State Department, at the end of the day, and our elected president are doing their jobs when it comes to international law. America is a country that believes in international law when it comes to so many other countries that have committed these horrible violations. No matter where we see ethnic cleansing in the world, we've seen our country stand against it. We must be able to enforce this and stand the same way against Israel when it commits ethnic cleansing. It's important to note the reason why these people are losing their homes is over a theme park, a religious themed theme park.
Right.
And it's disturbing to say the least, to see over 1,500 people losing their homes. Their homes will be destroyed for people's entertainment. And this is something we need to continue talking about. One of the things that we saw great successes in with Sheikh Jarrah, with Gaza, is the amount of people that were going out and talking on social media about what was happening. You know, and we knew that Israel was trying to wait us out to do what they did today in Silwan. In the middle of the night, we saw over 40 bulldozers come into the neighborhood of Silwan, and right after sunrise, we saw them destroying and attacking this family and destroying their place of business. This is something we could expect in the other houses that are all on the same block, that will be going on within the next week and so on. So it's important for us to note that they're trying to wait us out, and we can't allow them to do that.
Right, and that's a good point, Mohamad. I mean, look, ethnic cleansing is wrong, regardless of whether an American ally does it or an American adversary does it. Right, our government is quick to call out the Iranians when they do something. They even called out the Palestinian Authority for the death of a prominent activist there. And we'd say rightfully so. If you want to call out human rights violations, if someone else commits it, fine. And if we commit it, fine. But you can't then ignore it when someone that you like does it, right? That's not justice. That's not principle. That's hypocrisy and selective concern for justice. So we certainly need to hear the Biden administration not only say something about this, but do something about this, right? We can't have them once again waiting and ignoring the thing until violence breaks out. And then when it gets really bad, okay, then they jump in and say, oh, everyone's got to calm down, right? No, this is the moment, if you want things to calm down, where you intervene and you push back on this and you stop these demolitions, and then you work to really end the occupation. Because as long as that continues, this unsettled situation, this sporadic violence will continue. And so things are changing in America. I think, as you know, Mohamad, alhamdulillah, we have so many more Americans that now recognize what is being done with our tax dollars. We have so many people in various communities, including the African-American community, who recognize the obvious similarities between what is happening to the Palestinians and what happened to and is happening to African-Americans in this country and Africans around the world for that matter. And so we've just got to keep raising our voices. Would you say that just like we did with Sheikh Jarrah, we've got to raise our voices about Silwan and try to make sure that the Israeli government pays a price for its behavior. They cannot just abuse people with impunity. They have got to be held accountable in the court of public opinion, if not in the court of international law right now.
Of course. And one thing that we at American Muslims for Palestine are calling on people to do is reach out to the to your congressional representatives, reach out to your senators, and most importantly, reach out to the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Yesterday, we held a rally here in Washington, D.C., where we marched from the State Department to Nancy Pelosi's house to call on her to do more. We're asking people to reach out to the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi's office, and reach out to Chuck Schumer, who is who's the leader in the Senate. So we're asking everyone to do their part, reach out to these people, and let's make sure we're holding our elected officials accountable when it comes to the crimes that are being committed with our tax dollars in Palestine.
Absolutely. Phone calls are great, even better than emails if you can do it. And Mohammed, if there's any sort of petition you want people to sign, just let us know. We can post that in the comments on this video, so it'll be there for people when they watch later, inshallah.
Definitely.
Brother, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. May Allah grant relief to all oppressed people around the world, including our brothers and sisters in Silwan and Palestine, and may Allah allow us to live to see justice prevail for them. Thank you so much, Brother Ahmed. We'll be in touch, inshallah. Keep us up. Thank you to American Muslims for Palestine for all the work you're doing. And thank you all for joining us on today's episode of CAIR on Air, the Muslim Action Hour. We greatly appreciate it. If you have any topic you'd like us to address in the future, just send us an email at info@cair.com or post it in the comments, and inshallah, we will take it under consideration. Make dua for your brothers and sisters around the world, including in Palestine. And also make sure to check out American Muslims for Palestine, their Twitter page, their Facebook page, and their website to see about any actions you can be taking. And again, in terms of the Hilton Hotel issue, the action alert is in the comments. Sign that, send a message to Hilton, and stay tuned for news about future actions that we may have to, inshallah, take to address this issue nationally and internationally. Until then, have a great day, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you.